3 hours into a Cincinnati semifinal, with the US Open just days away, Iga Swiatek had exactly what she wanted. A break of serve, a 3-1 lead in the final set, and 1 foot inside her second straight WTA 1000 final. The defending champion, the Toronto winner, the player everyone expects to close these matches. And then, in front of a stunned American crowd, Jessica Pegula turned that 3-1 deficit into one of the most dramatic comebacks of the entire 2026 season, ending Swiatek's dream of back-to-back WTA 1000 titles in North America and booking her own place in history. This is the story of how the world number 3 broke the defending champion in 3 hours of pure tennis warfare, and why what happened at 3-1 in the third set might completely reshape the final week before the US Open. To understand why this semifinal mattered so much, you have to understand what was actually at stake. The Cincinnati Open is the final WTA 1000 event before the US Open. Total prize money commitment, $7.4 million. The singles champion takes home over $1 million. But for both of these players, the money was not the real prize. The real prize was momentum. Iga Swiatek arrived in Cincinnati as the defending champion, and, more importantly, as the freshly crowned Toronto champion. She had just won the National Bank Open, and she was chasing something rare. Back-to-back WTA 1000 titles on North American hard courts heading into a Grand Slam. In women's tennis, that kind of August double almost always signals a US Open favorite. Swiatek knew it. Her team knew it. The entire draw knew it. On the other side stood Jessica Pegula, world number 3, the highest-ranked American in the draw, playing at a tournament she has always called one of her favorites. But Pegula had a problem. This was the 13th career meeting between these two players, and history heavily favored Swiatek. Their rivalry has produced some of the hardest-fought matches on tour, but the pole has held the upper hand in the biggest moments for years. And if you are watching this and enjoying a real breakdown instead of just a highlights recap, subscribe to Tennis Track. We are on the road to 2,500 subscribers, and your like and comment genuinely decides whether the algorithm pushes this video to more tennis fans. That support is what lets me keep doing these deep dives every single week of the tour. Now, back to Cincinnati, because what happened next almost nobody saw coming. The first set was tight, physical, and decided by fine margins. But the pattern of the set told a story that would matter all night. Pegula was getting into an extraordinary number of defensive shots. First ball, second ball, sometimes a third after the serve. She was not trying to blast Swiatek off the court. She was trying to outlast her. Every rally that went past 4 or 5 shots, Pegula's flat, low-bouncing returns were forcing Swiatek to generate her own pace, and Swiatek, coming off the emotional and physical toll of winning Toronto just days earlier, started to misfire. Swiatek, for her part, produced moments of pure quality. A forehand cross-court winner here, a beautifully disguised change of direction there. She knew she needed to raise her level, and at times she did, but the first set came down to one moment, set point, where the match produced the kind of error that players replay in their heads for days. On set point, Swiatek committed what the commentators called an extraordinary error, a shot she would make 99 times out of 100. She shook her head in disbelief as the ball sailed out. First blood, first set, Jessica Pegula, 7-5. And suddenly, the defending champion was in trouble. If the first set was about defense, the second set was about the wind, and about Swiatek's response under pressure. Conditions in Cincinnati had been swirling all evening, and several key points turned on whether a player could keep the ball low and controlled through the gusts. Pegula managed it brilliantly on crucial moments. One return winner in particular drew a roar from the crowd, a ball kept so low that even Swiatek, the best mover in women's tennis, could not get under it. But Swiatek is not a 6-time Grand Slam champion by accident. When her back was against the wall, she raised her aggression, stepped inside the baseline, and started taking the second serve early. The second set went to Iga Swiatek, 6-4, and just like that, the semifinal moved into its third hour, and into a deciding third set. Here is where the match turned from a contest into a drama. Swiatek struck first in the decider. She broke early, consolidated, and raced to a 3-1 lead. At that moment, every pattern in their rivalry said the same thing. Swiatek does not give back leads like this. Her record in deciding sets against top 10 opponents is among the best in the sport. The Toronto title had given her the confidence of a champion, and 3-1 in the third set of a semifinal felt like the beginning of the end. But tennis matches are not decided by patterns, they are decided by points. And from 3-1 down, Jessica Pegula started playing the most disciplined, aggressive, and courageous tennis of her season. She held serve to make it 3-2, a hold that included a seemingly routine forehand from Swiatek that sailed into the net, an unforced error on a ball the commentators described as a seemingly simple forehand. That miss mattered more than the score suggested. It was the first visible crack. Swiatek glanced toward her box. Her shoulders dropped for a split second. And Pegula, a veteran who has lost more big matches to Swiatek than she has won, sensed it immediately. From 3-1 down, Pegula reeled off game after game. Her return position crept further inside the baseline. Her backhand, arguably the most underrated shot in the top 5, started finding lines. And the American crowd, sensing something special, turned center court into a wall of noise on every rally. Swiatek, meanwhile, began pressing. The forehand errors multiplied, the serve percentage dipped, and the player who had looked invincible 20 minutes earlier was now fighting just to hold serve. 5 games later, from 3-1 down, Jessica Pegula had won the third set, the match, and her place in the Cincinnati final. Pegula herself called it a crazy match afterward, an honest description of a semifinal that lasted 3 hours, swung through the wind, the nerves, and 2 of the best baseliners in the world trading blows until the very last point. Let me break down why this result is bigger than one semifinal. First, Swiatek's US Open picture just got complicated. She came into this fortnight with a chance to do something dominant. Toronto and Cincinnati back-to-back, arriving in New York as the undisputed form player of the summer. That storyline is dead. Instead, she now goes to the US Open having lost a 3-set battle where she led 3-1 in the decider, the exact kind of loss that tests a champion's confidence more than a routine defeat ever could. Swiatek has bounced back from losses before, and nobody should write her off, but the aura of inevitability she carried into Cincinnati is gone. Second, this is now a genuine rivalry again. 13 career meetings, and Pegula has now proven she can beat Swiatek in the biggest moments, on hard courts, under maximum pressure. Every future meeting between these two carries a different psychological weight from today onward. Third, the record book. With this win, Jessica Pegula reached her 9th career WTA 1000 final, a remarkable level of consistency at the biggest non-slam events in the sport. And more importantly for her personally, the Cincinnati final gives her a shot at her first WTA 1000 title on home soil. For an American player in her early 30s, playing the week before her home Grand Slam, that opportunity does not come around often. Fourth, and this is the part the American tennis audience will love, the final is now all-American. Pegula's win set up a championship match against Coco Gauff, the first All-American women's final in Cincinnati in 56 years. We will cover that final in detail in the next video, so make sure the notification bell is on. Fifth, the tactical lesson. The most revealing stat of this match was not a number at all. It was a pattern. Pegula won this match with defense first, aggression second. Those defensive shots off the first and second ball after the serve, the low skidding returns through the wind, the refusal to give Swiatek any free points in the third set, that is a blueprint. Every coach watching this semifinal will study how Pegula's return position in the final set neutralized Swiatek's second serve. So here is my question for you, and I genuinely want to read your take in the comments. Was this Swiatek losing the match, or Pegula winning it? Was the 3-1 collapse a mental crack from the defending champion, or did Pegula simply force her into errors with relentless depth? Drop your answer below. And if this kind of real WTA analysis is what you want before the US Open, not recycled headlines, but the actual story behind the score, you know exactly what is coming next on this channel. Gauff versus Pegula, the first All-American Cincinnati final in 56 years. Trust me, you do not want to miss that one.